Some soldiers risked their lives and managed to reach that place. But the very next moment, they came face to face with the most dangerous and gigantic monster of that world. Jack sensed its presence and immediately dipped his head into the water to hide. Then, right in front of him, a huge foot appeared. The sheep standing nearby got scared and started running away. Suddenly, the giant grabbed one of the sheep and swallowed it alive. Seeing this horrifying scene, Jack became extremely terrified. On the other side, a soldier hiding behind a tree turned around to look at the giant. But at that moment, the giant sniffed the air and recognized his scent. Without wasting any time, the giant uprooted the entire tree and threw it away. The soldier started running for his life, but his small legs were nothing in front of the giant's long legs. The giant quickly moved forward and knocked him unconscious in one hit. Seeing a human for the first time, the giant bent down and started looking at him closely. Just as the giant was about to pick him up and take him away, the captain ran toward him with a sword and stabbed the blade into the giant's heel with full force. He kicked the captain away with just a slight movement of his foot. Then he pulled the sword out of his foot, picked up both soldiers, and took them away to eat them. Jack was watching all of this from a distance. Actually, sometime earlier, Jack had received several magical beans with the help of a priest. But when his girlfriend, who was actually a princess, came to meet Jack, one of those beans came into contact with water and suddenly began growing rapidly. Because of the not even move from their place, suddenly the ground split open and a gigantic beanstalk tore through the house and started growing toward the sky. But just as she tried to run outside, the vine suddenly shut the door. The princess tried to open it, but the door did not move at all. Seeing this, Jack immediately picked up an axe to cut the vines. But suddenly, the entire house was uprooted along with its roots and started rising toward the sky. At the last moment, Jack jumped and grabbed the edge. But the vines were growing so fast that Jack used all his strength to swing the axe and cut the vine. As soon as the vine broke, the princess opened the door. But in the next moment, the wooden floor under her feet broke. Even though Jack caught her hand, he began falling from a height of 10,000 meters. Jack slid down the magical vines toward the ground. On the way down, the vines slowed him up in panic and saw the king standing in front of him, searching for the princess. Seeing this, Jack was shocked, and because he had no choice, he told the king everything. When Jack pointed toward the sky, everyone saw a gigantic beanstalk cutting straight through the clouds and rising upward. As soon as the king learned the truth, he wasted no time and sent a group of soldiers with Jack to rescue the princess. Soon, everyone began climbing the beanstalk and reached beyond the clouds. Then the captain moved ahead and started sliding from one side to another because this was the only way to reach the princess. Having no other choice, Jack removed his belt and prepared himself. But just as he was about to move forward, the curly-haired man kicked him hard and pushed him ahead. Seeing the terrifying height, Jack became extremely scared. Suddenly slipped and he fell straight down. But luckily, the vines caught him midway. As soon as he regained consciousness, he began climbing again without stopping. When they reached higher, the powerful bolt of lightning struck one of the soldiers directly. He slipped, and the other soldiers collided with him and also started falling. But at the last moment, one soldier held the rope tightly, and somehow the rest of the group survived. He told his companion standing nearby to cut the rope. The man liked the idea and immediately pulled out a hidden knife from his boot. The soldiers hanging below begged them not to do it, but he showed no mercy and cut the rope. The hanging soldiers fell from a height of 10,000 feet. Somehow, the remaining soldiers managed to reach the top, and by then morning had also arrived. When Jack looked back, he was completely shocked because a gigantic world existed above the clouds. Seeing this sight, everyone started moving forward. Then the captain noticed fresh footprints on the ground, and from that, he guessed that the princess had not gone down. She was somewhere here. When everyone came out of the cave, the captain was stunned by the view in front of him because this world was much larger than they had expected. Everyone moved forward and started examining the area. Then their eyes fell on the branches of the trees. They found marks left by the princess there. At the same time, Jack found the same book on the ground that he had given to the princess. Then they noticed broken branches, and from this, they understood that some dangerous creature had taken the princess away. After that, everyone split into 2 teams and went in different directions to search for the princess. On the way, Jack and his companions reached a river where they saw a herd of fat, fresh sheep. Because they had been hungry for several days, they decided to catch one of the sheep and cook it. But as soon as they tried to catch a sheep, they accidentally activated a nearby trap. Jack immediately took out his knife and started cutting the net with all his strength. Meanwhile, the captain also tried to cut the rope, but then he noticed something strange. All the crows nearby suddenly flew away in fear, and all the sheep also started running in the opposite direction at once. The captain became suspicious, but he still kept cutting the rope. Somehow, both of them managed to escape from the trap. But then a terrifying sound echoed through the forest, and at that very moment, a gigantic giant appeared in front of them and grabbed both soldiers, taking them away with him. Jack quietly followed the giant so that when he got the right chance, he could save his companions and the princess as well. On the other side, Roderick reached the edge of a cliff with 2 soldiers. The bald man thought it was useless to keep searching like this, so he started moving forward to look for another path. But then Roderick made his move. He said, "Look, there is Isabel." As soon as the bald man turned back and came near the cliff, Roderick took advantage of the moment and pushed him directly into the deep valley. Seeing this, Roderick's friends started laughing loudly, but then a gigantic hand suddenly grabbed him. At the same moment, another giant, as big as a mountain, appeared behind him. Roderick fell to the ground in fear and quickly started searching for something in his bag. But just as the giant extended his hand to grab him, Roderick pulled out a glowing crown. As soon as the giant saw the crown, they stopped right there as if some invisible power had frozen them. Actually, it was a magical crown. Meanwhile, Jack followed the giant all the way to their hideout. When he reached there, he was shocked by the scene because there were beautiful waterfalls and tall mountains everywhere, making the place look no less than heaven. There, a 2-headed giant had locked the princess inside a cage. Then he took her to the other giants, where all the giants gathered and started looking at her. At that moment, the giant who had captured the captain and the fat soldier also returned. He brought both of them and threw them near the cage. Seeing this, the 2-headed giant became suspicious that maybe more humans were present there, so he grabbed the fat soldier lying on the ground, twisted his neck, and swallowed him alive. After that, and caught everyone's attention. Actually, that voice belonged to none other than the traitor Roderick. As soon as the giant saw the crown on his head, they all immediately fell to their knees. At that moment, his real plan was revealed to everyone. He walked straight toward the 2-headed giant and ordered him to kneel. Seeing the crown on Roderick's head, the 2-headed giant was forced to bow down. Then Roderick stepped onto his face and slowly walked toward the throne. From that moment on, Roderick became the new king of the giants' world. Meanwhile, a giant picked up the captain to cook him and threw him straight onto sticky dough. The more the captain struggled, the more he got stuck in it. After the preparation, only the vegetables were left to be added. As soon as the giant went to get vegetables, Jack quietly arrived there. The princess became extremely happy when she saw Jack, but he immediately signaled her to stay quiet. The giant was still busy, and during this time, Jack slowly reached the princess. He tried to open the lock of the cage, but it was beyond his ability. Then the princess told him to save the captain first, who had been placed in a line with the pigs. Jack immediately reached him and took out his knife, cutting him free from the sticky dough. At the same time, the giant started coming back with the spices. Seeing this, Jack quickly handed the knife to the captain and hid himself. Luckily, the giant did not suspect anything. He picked up some sharp wooden sticks and stabbed one of the pigs lying nearby right in front of the captain's eyes. The pig, which had been screaming until now, immediately became silent. Now it was the captain's turn. The giant attacked without mercy, but he missed slightly. Otherwise, the captain's future generations would have been completely wiped out. Seeing this, the captain fainted out of fear. Then the giant picked them all up and placed them near the burning furnace. Now Jack was the only one who could save them. At this time, Jack had reached the top of an iron ring and the giant had no idea. Then they pulled the princess out, placed her on the table, and prepared to cut her. But then Jack quietly picked up a heavy knife lying nearby. The unaware giant was just about to strike the princess when Jack stabbed the knife directly into his spine. The giant screamed loudly in pain, but Jack kept holding the knife tightly. Then the giant lost control and crashed into the wall, dying there. Seeing this, the princess and the captain were both shocked. After that, the three of them immediately reached the magical beanstalk, but a giant was already. He took a beehive and, along with the captain, slowly approached the giant. Then the captain lifted the giant's helmet, and Jack threw the beehive inside it. The giant was still sleeping carelessly and had no idea what was about to happen. As soon as Jack placed the hive inside, the captain immediately closed the helmet. Then both of them quickly ran away and hid behind a nearby rock, waiting. After a short while, the giant woke up in pain from the bee stings and started shaking his body violently. But the more he struggled, the more the bees attacked him. In panic, the giant started running away, but he removed his helmet. Seeing this, the three of them were shocked for a moment. But then a bee flew directly toward him and stung him hard. Because of that, he lost control and fell straight down. Seeing this, the three of them became extremely happy. They could not believe that they had defeated such a huge giant so easily. After that, the three decided to leave immediately. But suddenly the captain stopped. He said that he had to stay there to take the crown back from Roderick. So Jack handed him a knife and started climbing down with the princess. At the same time, the giant fell down after crashing through the vines. Hearing the loud sound, the king immediately came out of his tent. Seeing this dangerous giant, he became terrified. Suddenly, the villagers also gathered there. Then, even though he did not want to, the king made a big decision for the safety of his people and to stop the giants from coming down. He immediately ordered the general to cut down the beanstalk. The soldiers hammered huge iron nails into the massive stalk. Then they attached strong hooks to them and began pulling it with the help of bulls and horses. Slowly, the gigantic beanstalk began shaking from its roots. But this put the soldiers standing nearby in danger. Suddenly, the thick middle stalk also began to break. The soldiers standing above started falling, causing chaos everywhere. Meanwhile, Jack and the princess Jack saw an opportunity, held the princess tightly, and quickly grabbed a hanging branch. Both of them swung through the air and moved downward at high speed. Finally, when they fell, a pile of grass slowed their fall, and both of them safely reached the ground. At that very moment, Roderick gathered all the giants and prepared to attack the humans. Then the two-headed giant sensed a human presence. Roderick then stepped forward and took out the magical beans that could grow beanstalks. But suddenly, the captain attacked him, causing the magical beans to fall onto the rocks, while Roderick fell straight into a pit. Roderick started calling the giants in fear, while the captain stood in front of him, ready to fight. Then the two-headed giant ordered the other giants to pull him out. The giants began breaking the rocks, and below, the fight between the captain and Roderick began. Roderick used his long sword to knock the captain down, and the captain's weapon fell away. After that, Roderick took the opportunity and started attacking continuously, but the captain somehow blocked his strike, and a battle of strength began between them. Soon, the captain started becoming weaker, and Roderick pushed him into the water. Then suddenly, the captain noticed the knife floating toward him. At the right moment, he grabbed it with his teeth and immediately struck Roderick's face. Roderick, furious, using his weapon, he pushed the captain backward. The captain was forced to keep retreating and eventually reached the edge. Then Roderick kicked him hard and knocked him down, but the captain somehow managed to grab the rocks. Roderick began stabbing his sword into the captain's hand so that he would fall on his own, but he had underestimated the captain's strength. As soon as Roderick tried to attack again, the captain grabbed his weapon and stabbed it into Roderick's own leg. Roderick screamed loudly in pain, stabbed the sword into Roderick's stomach. Because of the sudden attack, Roderick died right there. As soon as he died, the magical power of the crown also disappeared. The captain somehow climbed back up and moved forward to take the crown back. But suddenly the cave above broke, and the two-headed giant picked up the crown before him. He put the crown on his finger and declared himself the new king. As soon as he wore the crown, its power returned. Seeing this, the other giants also fell to their knees. Then the captain saw that the only beanstalk returning to Earth could break and fall at any moment. So without wasting any time, he jumped directly onto the beanstalk. The beanstalk started moving quickly toward the castle. The captain used the perfect timing and jumped straight into the water. When the two-headed giant saw that the path to the human world had been destroyed, he roared in anger. Then suddenly, the smaller head pointed toward the bag lying on the ground, which was filled with magical beans. There were 4 magical beans inside. Seeing this, he immediately blew the beans into the water. As soon as the beans touched the water, they began growing instantly. In the next moment, 4 gigantic beanstalks tore through the ground and shot upward. After that, the two-headed giant gave a loud order, and all the giants climbed onto the beanstalks and started moving toward the human world. At the same time, Jack was giving water to his horse. Suddenly, he looked toward the sky and saw all the giants rapidly coming down. Without wasting a single moment, he mounted his horse and rushed to warn the king. Meanwhile, the king's army was peacefully moving toward the castle. Then Jack spotted the army. He started shouting loudly that the giants were coming, but the king still did not understand what was happening. Suddenly, many giants came out from the forest behind them, destroying everything wherever they went. No one was able to stop them. Soon, the giant army came close and grabbed a soldier, swallowing him alive. Even the people riding horses could not escape their speed. At that moment, humans were completely helpless in front of them. Then a round-faced giant broke the blade of a nearby windmill and threw it toward the princess. It smashed everything as soon as it hit the ground, and even the king's crown fell off. Meanwhile, the soldiers stationed at the castle saw the king's army approaching. They immediately sent word inside to prepare for battle. The captain quickly ordered all soldiers to pour oil into the moat to stop the enemies. As soon as the king's army reached near the castle, he ordered the archers to fire. Within moments, hundreds of flaming arrows were shot toward the enemies. As soon as the arrows hit the oil, flames spread everywhere. During this chaos, the king's army safely entered the castle. But at that same time, Jack was still outside, and the giants were chasing him. But at the last moment, he jumped with his horse and entered the castle. However, the two-headed giant also climbed onto the gate behind him. But then the captain attacked him, and he fell straight into the burning flames. Soon, the fire surrounded him completely. But surprisingly, his own people did not even come to save him. They simply stood there watching him burn. Meanwhile, the people were still talking among themselves when suddenly a huge iron bell came flying from the sky toward the castle. It destroyed the wall and fell straight down. Before anyone could understand what was happening, the war horn suddenly sounded. Then 2 huge iron hooks were thrown toward the castle gate, and the giants began pulling them with full force. A tug-of-war began between humans and giants. Actually, all of this was the plan of the round-faced giant. The princess took Jack and ran deeper into the castle. Meanwhile, the old king ordered all soldiers to use crossbows to stop the giants. Then, on the captain's order, the soldiers fired many crossbows, which hit the wooden gate directly. As soon as the shots landed accurately, the soldiers immediately started pulling the crossbow carts backward. The castle army split into groups, and the king also came to help. He was just asking the captain about the giant's weakness when a burning tree fell from the sky and scattered the soldiers in different directions. In the next moment, meanwhile, the princess brought Jack inside the castle. But suddenly, a heavy roar and cracks spreading through the ground caught their attention. It was the same two-headed giant who had survived even after falling into the fire earlier. Because he had been underwater, the fire could not harm him, and he secretly entered the castle through the sewer. Suddenly, he sensed the royal scent of the princess. Jack nervously opened the blanket and saw that the giant still had not noticed them. But then, in anger, the giant broke a nearby mirror. The 2 people hiding under the blanket began trembling in fear, but the giant saw them directly from above. Jack used all his strength, grabbed the princess, and ran. But the giant kept chasing them. With no other way left, both of them were forced to run toward the 2nd floor. They did not even dare to stop. But suddenly, a hand came out from the aside and grabbed the princess. Jack picked up a nearby axe and attacked without delay. But the giant grabbed him with his other hand. The small head started mocking Jack. Then Jack angrily struck the small head's helmet with the axe and broke it. In anger, the giant opened his huge mouth. At that moment, Jack took out the magical bean hidden in his locket and threw it directly into the giant's mouth. The magical bean went straight into his stomach. The two-headed giant suddenly felt something was wrong and immediately threw both of them to the ground. Then suddenly, a vine came out of his body, and both of them stepped back in fear. Outside, the soldiers were still trying to stop the giants, but at one shout from the round-faced giant, all the giants slowly moved backward and began knocking down the soldiers one by one. The castle gate slowly opened. The captain immediately told the soldiers to close the iron gate. At that very moment, the round-faced giant slowly came out of the mist with his companions. But the iron gate could not stop him for long. With one powerful hit, he broke the gate. Then he and his companions entered the castle. Seeing the tasty-looking soldiers standing there, the giants became extremely happy. The giants were just about to attack when a voice suddenly came from behind, and all the giants turned their attention toward it. The giant looked carefully into the crowd, and suddenly he dropped his weapon. Seeing this, the other giants also dropped their weapons and knelt before all the humans.